I can honestly say I am living my best life. For me, wellness looks like what I have crafted for myself, which is the space to one, not stress about money, which I don't because I feel very secure in my financial situation. And money used to be a huge burden for me. But I also feel like I'm in a position where I get to spend as much time with my daughter as I like, which is just given my history and where I am now. And the fact that I am a 41-year-old woman with a toddler is very important to me. I say again and again, every day is not promised. And so the fact that I get to not only spend every day with her, but spend every day with her in meaningful ways where I'm not tired, where I'm not stressed, where I'm not worrying about where money's going to come from to pay the next bill, but also being able to have time for myself and being able to make sure that when she's not with me, that she's in very capable hands.
Welcome to Flourish in the Foreign, the award-winning podcast that celebrates, elevates, and affirms the voices and stories of Black women living and thriving abroad, while exploring living abroad as a pathway to wellness. I'm your host, Christine Job, a Black American woman with Trinidadian roots, a business strategist and consultant from Atlanta, living and thriving in Valencia, Spain. Hey everyone, welcome to Flourish in the Foreign. It is I, Christine Job, the host, the creator of this podcast, coming to drop another bonus episode for all of you because I love you and you deserve only the best. Okay? Don't let anyone give you anything less than that. All right? So I'm here to drop off this bonus episode to check in with you. I hope your summers are going well. I also just wanted to drop in to let y'all know that Flourish in the Foreign has so many resources for all of you to help you go abroad, stay abroad, and to, of course, build your own business. You know, in case you have one of those black jobs or you're trying to get a black job or I don't know what the heck is going on in the United States right now. I don't know if y'all listened to that debate. I was just like, okay, I don't know. And look, if you guys are interested in a black job abroad or just getting a job abroad, check out season 1, episode 25, which is all about how to get a job abroad. I'm not sure if it's black or not, but hey, it is what it is. Look, I'm not typically like a doom and gloom type of person. I'm not really a fear mongering type of person. I think y'all get that from the vibe of this podcast. But damn, things are looking bleak, like for real in the States. So I think, if you want to go ahead and get started on that plan abroad and you're ready to stop thinking about it, stop watching the YouTube videos about it, perhaps even, stop listening to podcasts about it, even though this here podcast is an incredible, well-rounded resource, if I do say so myself, which I do. If you want to start actually making moves to live that life abroad, to start cultivating a life well lived abroad, I have some resources for you, okay? You can grab the Move Abroad with Intention guide. You can grab the Build a Business Abroad guide. You can also work with me one-on-one with the Move Abroad with Intention course. For the summer, I'm actually doing one-on-one strategy. It's like 6 weeks of Move Abroad with Intention course. So you get to chat with me every week for 6 weeks. And also you get access to the full course. So if you're ready to be about it and not think about it, I think that could be a great option for you. Also, shout out to my Soft Life, Soft Business Summer Intensive cohort. The cohort is absolutely incredible and amazing. My Soft Life, Soft Business program helps senior professionals take the step into entrepreneurship through consulting. And so this intensive is all about standing up a consulting business in 8 weeks. And look, It's an intensive because it's intense, but I'm so excited and just shout out to the cohort. They're doing amazing. If you're like, Christine, I didn't hear nothing about this, that's because you're not on my email list. And so I highly suggest you to get on the email list. So you can go to flourishintheforeign.com and get on the email list. And if you're interested in building a business, I recommend you go to christinejob.com and get on the email list so that you can hear about it, right? The podcast is still on hiatus, so I'm just hitting people up in the emails. So get with it. If you want to be kept in the loop for all these great resources to help you go abroad and cultivate a life well lived abroad, please get in touch. This is not the time to think about it. This is the time to be about it. Okay? All right, on to the episode. So today's episode is part 2 of the Wellness Abroad series. Yes, it's another compilation featuring our amazing guests of this here podcast, Flourish in the Foreign. And I really enjoy these compilations because I think it's so powerful to listen to an episode with one central theme. I just think it makes it, I don't know, much more potent. I hope you agree. And also, I think it's an amazing way to introduce you to guests that maybe you haven't listened to, and you should, because all of the guests on this podcast have just been absolutely amazing. So without further ado, I will allow the incredible women of Flourish in the Foreign tell you all about it. Season 2, episode 7 features Victoria in Italy. I asked Victoria what her definition of wellness is and how living abroad has been a pathway to wellness for her.
Wellness to me is the freedom of ability to control or to have your say over your time. It's the one thing that I think you can't buy, you can't get more of. We're here in the present and we're living moment to moment. You can buy or acquire a lot of things, but time and the ability to do with what you want with your time is, I think, sort of the base and the pinnacle of wellness, where you have the time and the space to improve yourself. You have the time and the space to spend time with your family and your children. You have the time and the space to travel. You have the time and the space to work. You have the time and the space to rest. Time is sort of the essence of wellness to me. But then I also think that sort of the freedom to travel is also a big part of wellness, because ultimately we are trying to find our way home. We're born in various places, but that may not always be our home. And so travel is this enormous privilege where you can come to discover that, and in the process discover yourself and discover other people, appreciate other people and beliefs and things of that nature. But I think that when you're able to travel because you have the time and you have the means to do so, it's addictive and it's liberating, but it's like worlds inside of worlds inside of worlds of possibility and opportunity. I tell some of my friends who I encourage to travel more, not to take a vacation, but to discover themselves. I tell them there could be people in other places waiting for you to get there, and you would never know that they're waiting for you unless you actually made the decision to leave. There are opportunities, business opportunities, work opportunities that could be waiting for you in other places if you made the decision to leave. And so I feel like one of the biggest benefits, I would say, for Black women is that the world is not America. The world is not the United States. And while racism exists everywhere, while prejudice exists everywhere, and while just people, wherever there are people, there will be imminent stupidity. But your beauty is seen globally, and it's sort of celebrated and expressed in different ways depending on where you are in the world, but you are not invisible in the rest of the world. You're definitely seen. And I think that speaks to the essence of why it's beneficial and healthy for Black women to travel abroad, because it's a heart issue where at the heart of the matter, everybody wants to be recognized for just being a person, for just being a woman, for just being a human being. And I think you're given that when you start to explore beyond borders. And then when you start to really delve into what these countries have to offer, then you start getting into sort of the logistical benefits, healthcare and all these other things. Those are sort of like bonuses. But at the core of it's being seen and recognized and not persecuted or oppressed for not just being a woman, but being a woman of color. I think all of that contributes to wellness for Black women, mental wellness, as well as physical wellness for Black women, that I think is kind of like we're exploring it. But even so, it's I think it's largely untapped because we're attached to home, we have ties, family ties, and we have all of the certain types of limitations that we have. But I feel like I said, there are worlds within worlds within worlds of opportunities out there for us where they're looking for Black women professionals, Black women business owners, Black women thought leaders and thinkers, especially Black women from the Western world. And they're, even though we're out here, we're still not represented in a way where, I want them to be comfortable with the fact that we are who we are, because at this point, it's still a shock. So I was at lunch yesterday with my partner, and the owner of the restaurant came to the table and was speaking to us. And he said, "So what do you do? Where do you work?" And I said, "Oh, I work for myself." And he said, okay. Because I know he expected me to say something else. But I said, "I work for myself. I have a company, communications company, and this and this and this and that." And he said, "Oh, wow." Like he was like genuinely shocked. And I think that as we continue to travel and explore beyond borders and show up with all the degrees and stuff that we have, because we're like leading the pack in the United States in terms of our educational pursuits, when we really go into the world and really show the world, I think, what we have to offer, it'll start becoming more commonplace for, people to look at us and know that we're valuable, we have something to contribute, so on and so forth. But I think all of that starts with the very basic type of wellness and healthy decisions that we're able to have access to. I mean, even like the quality of food, all of those little things contribute to like a better self and a better woman. I think that's been like the basis and the pinnacle for me kind of living my best life over here. I'm just kind of taking it back to the basics, which is not something that I think we're able to do in America.
Season 1, episode 39, features Marie, a speech pathologist who's traveled abroad extensively and lived in the UAE and the Philippines. In the episode, we discuss Marie's yoga practice, and she explains how yoga entered into her life as a young child.
My mother was a yogi. She, in the 70s and the 80s, I just remember her pushing out the furniture in the front room to make a big open space, and she would go through her asanas or her sequence, her flow. It wasn't a flow back then, but she was just doing her thing, and she would invite me to the mat or to the carpet to do things too. So that was my first introduction to yoga. And Full 360, remember I said India was one of the adventures in my Choose Your Own Adventure books. So when I went to look it up in the encyclopedia, again, yoga came back around that way. So I think it's always been in my shadow, but learning about it as an adult didn't come until maybe about I would say about a little bit before my 30th turning point in my years of living. And I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I just got heavily into Bikram yoga at the time. So I just practiced, was in we call it a cult because we would go 5, 6 days a week. And so I knew of yoga that way, but Bikram was my first real introduction of a consistent practice. So I practiced Bikram in Atlanta. Then I found a studio in Chicago, was practicing Bikram there in Chicago. So everywhere I went, even when I traveled, I would find a yoga studio. It used to be my little thing. I would try and find a yoga studio and practice in that area, whether it's the continental US or during my travels of away abroad, just for holidays, vacation. And then a couple years ago, I've always wanted to go for YTT, which is yoga teacher training, but not so much in the essence in this moment to just be a yoga teacher at a studio. It was more for me to go deeper into my own practice. And yeah, so a couple years ago, I found a yoga teacher program in the Philippines, and I actually got certified to teach Ashtanga yoga, which is like very scripted yoga, a little bit like Bikram, just take out the hot part of it, but it's a more scripted yoga. And I think that's what I like about it. It's a certain sequence of series of poses. But I practice flow, hatha, any type of yoga. I like yoga. So any type of yoga I've practiced in studios, practiced in my home, practiced on grass. So yeah, that's how I got a little bit into the teacher training. And then it's been short lived a little bit because right after that, I was diagnosed with the cancer, the reproductive cancer. So was not able to do much. But yeah, I'm excited to get back to my mat is what we say. Excited to get back to my mat to have a more consistent practice now that I'm stronger.
Season 5, Episode 5. I spoke with reoccurring guest, the acclaimed travel photojournalist and acclaimed author, Lola Akomande. We were discussing her latest fiction novel, Everything Is Not Enough. And if you haven't listened to that episode, please do. If you haven't bought the book yet, what have you been waiting for? Shop the Flourish in the Foreign Bookshop to not only support Lola, but also this podcast and get you some goodies while supporting your local bookstore. There you go. So we discussed her book, of course, and because this is Flourish in the Foreign, we did talk about wellness, but in the context of these fictional characters. And this is a snippet of that conversation.
The last question I'll ask then, because I could, as you can see, talk to you about this book for hours and hours. The last thing I will ask you is kind of a general reflection. You know, Flourish in the Foreign is about showcasing Black women's voices and stories who live abroad and are thriving abroad. By the end of the book, it could be said that they are thriving abroad. And I'm wondering, how do you define that thriving for each of the characters? How did you come to those conclusions?
I think thriving is obviously very individual. It's when you feel like you feel safe and you feel like, you know what, I can now just breathe, and I'm starting to make spaces and create communities where, you know, like I said, I can just exist. Um, then you're on the path to thriving. It doesn't matter whether you have a lot of money. Yasmin doesn't have a lot of money, but she feels like she's thriving. She feels like, you know what, this is what I love to do. I'm now getting known for what I love to do. That's She's on a path to creating whatever that future is for her. Brittany has come back. She's striving in that she's still kept, but with freedom. When she was there, she was kept, but without freedom. Now she has all the freedom she wants, as well as all these resources. So it's for her, it was like a win-win, right? And then for Kemi, she has what she wanted in the sense that she actually really did want a family, right? But now I don't know if she's striving 100%, I think Kemi is always going to Kemi, you know, based on that last message she got at the end. But I think they've all grabbed their own agency and now making and moving through life on their own terms the way they want to do. And I think that's a start.
Season 1, episode 43, features Cha, who is part-time based in Portugal. And I asked her how living abroad has influenced her idea of wellness and how she practices wellness in her life.
I guess you could hear in both of the two times that I decided to leave America, I was really searching for a sense of self and more connection back to myself. It's kind of weird to think I had to go completely move somewhere else. Before, it was right after breaking up of my engagement and really trying to reconnect back to myself. And I didn't know that would happen when I was out there. I just knew that I needed to be away from the normal routine in life. I needed something to kind of like re-jump my life. And I knew that was happening, that I was opening myself up for that. And thanks to the book Eat, Pray, Love, I believed in it. And so, because that was the time when that book just came out. So I read the book, and I can say that's why I thought that Italy would be a good excuse, right? Anything pizza all day sounds great, right? And then, so I really felt like when I actually saw, meaning being in Rome every day, hearing the sounds outside my window, walking the streets, getting gelato at midnight. These are the small things that when I came back to the States, I cherished. Looking at the Vatican, I had double balconies, girlfriend. I had a balcony off of my kitchen, and I had a balcony off my bedroom. I used to just sit out on my balcony, have dinner every night. These are the type of things that I didn't know what to expect when I was out there. I kind of, took the leap. But when I came back to the States, I was like, nah, I needed an exit plan. So I tried it coming back to the States and really did have a good life here. I set up a good career for myself, but I felt like there's always something missing. Once you get a taste of it, for sure, you know what you want to go back to. You want to go back to that feeling. You want to go back to that. And I used to always tell myself that, even when I'm dating, I'm like, if somebody's treating me bad, I'm like, I know what good guys feel like. I know what it feels like to feel loved. So why am I going through this trash with this guy? It's the same idea. And I go, okay, I'm in America. I feel like all I do is take the subway, see nobody, whatever. At the same time, if I'm not going to see anybody besides once a month or once a season because we're all busy, then I can just live in Portugal and fly in once a month or once a season and see my friends then. What's the difference? I don't see you anyway. So we were always grinding, but I would prefer to do it and get a suntan or be on rooftops on Friday nights with my Tinder dates. So these are the things that come with the extra luxury of me living in Portugal versus me living in New York. There's rooftops, by the way, everywhere. And we call them in the summertime. They don't say, oh, meet me at the rooftop for a drink or for happy hour. They go, meet me at the sunset. It's such a beautiful way to think about it, right? It's like, oh, yeah, because you know that once you get up there, it's the nighttime or it's after work hours. So the sun will start to set. So oh, let's have a sunset. So that's also a terminology we use when we're going for drinks and it's at the sunsetting hours. So things like that just continuously made me feel like there is a life worth living that's not surrounded by material things and all these craziness that we kind of strive for, especially here in New York. I had a great week if I was able to eat at whatever restaurant I wanted that weekend, cook myself a really good meal, walk my dog early enough that he was able to go outside and see the sun too. Very low style of living. This is what I, trying to achieve, a more minimalist lifestyle. And I've realized that my self-care usually I feel more centered when that's my thing. Not oh, we're about to go to this. I got to get a new outfit. I got to go here. I got to do all these things. Oh, I have to. And in New York, it's like a ball that never just stops rolling. As soon as you got over one deadline or one project, or you just went to this one event that was major, there's another one coming up. And I like the idea of being tapped out of it so I can just breathe.
Season 1, episode 31 features Helena, who was speaking to me at the time from Vietnam. And her episode, we really discussed how she has found physical and mental healing abroad.
Well, my definition of wellness has really been influenced by the healers that I worked with while I was in Thailand. So it's an herbalist as well as an energy healer that I worked with while I was in Thailand. And both of these, they're two Black men that I met while I was there. Before coming to Thailand, I was very used to putting myself last. And I thought that living in a constant self-sacrifice mode was the way to be able to be successful. And it's not at all. And being here in Southeast Asia shows me all the time that the less that I do and the more that I am focused on finding activities where I can get more benefit out of it, rather than trying to run around doing a bunch of stuff that kind of works but doesn't, that's just way more beneficial to my life than anything else. So my wellness routine for myself, it looks a lot like getting a lot of sunshine. I always have access to excellent fresh food. I do 20 minutes of meditation in the morning and then another 20 minutes of meditation before I go to sleep. I make sure that I take my work breaks. There are some times when I do have to work a little more than normal, but I do allow myself the space to be able to take breaks. And because I actually live in a place where my rent is only $350 as opposed to paying $1,000 where I was before living in Florida, it's just a lot easier for me to be able to take those breaks because the cost of living here is so much cheaper. And then it's nice to be able to have access to the beach on a regular basis. So being in salt water a few times a week is very healing for the body.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying this episode of Flourish in the Foreign. And if you are, please consider supporting the podcast by going to buymeacoffee.com/flourishforeign and buy me a coffee. You know, it's summertime, so you could also buy me a rosé if you'd like to as well. It's your choice. If you are looking for resources to help you go abroad and stay abroad, or to help you build a business, I highly suggest you subscribe to the Flourish in the Foreign newsletter. You can go to flourishintheforeign.com, get subscribed. You can also check out the resources and offers that I have. You can purchase the Move Abroad with Intention guide, the Build a Business Abroad guide. You can sign up for the one-on-one Move Abroad with Intention course with me, and you can join the wait list for Soft Life, Soft Business when it opens again. All right. Thank you all so much for supporting the podcast and for supporting me. I appreciate you. Now on to the episode. Season 5, Episode 8 features Nkem, who shared her amazing story of life abroad from Hong Kong to South Korea to Abu Dhabi and to Mexico. And it was such a pleasure speaking with Nkem. I could definitely tell how much spiritual wellness really informed her journey abroad. And so I asked Nkem, what is her personal definition of wellness?
I love this question. So I love talking about wellness and self. Living abroad, I know I mentioned the aspect of choice a little bit earlier, and that was relating to the choice in how people see me and that whole thing. But I think there's this aspect of choice when living abroad that you get to kind of reclaim your ability to make a choice about how your life is going to look. First, when you choose to live overseas, now the responsibility is on you. Whether or not you're working with a company or organization that's going to help you with the logistics of moving abroad, you still are making every single choice for yourself, and the consequences of those choices are yours, which I find to be really helpful in my wellness journey on a very stabilizing, grounding level, because if something goes right, that's all me. Right? I did that. I made that choice for myself, and I feel really good about holding myself. If something doesn't go right, that's on me, which means that I have to pick up the pieces and make another choice to make it right. And I can't play victim to anybody making decisions for me, to any system making decisions for me. It's all on me. And that helps just to empower me. Like the empowerment is a big part of my wellness practice and my wellness journey. It's not just about feeling calm and feeling good and feeling healthy and all these things. Empowerment is a really big part of feeling heart open and being present in the world in who we are. But on top of that, there is also the feeling calm and feeling good and feeling healthy, which I have totally, like we all do in life, had these roller coaster moments of being at really high highs and very low lows and not feeling like I had anybody to turn to or talk to, and recognizing that I actually need to reach out to people and communities is really important no matter where I am. So I think in my journey of living abroad and having moved through so many different places and cultures and different types of people, I've come to recognize how creating community from a certain place, from like the heart space, rather than just from a common interest, we like to do the same thing space, is the most stabilizing and grounding for me in my journey as a human being, which is obviously like the wellness part of it, because if I'm not well, then I'm not really living fully, which is always the aim, the goal.
Season 2, episode 5 features Candace, who has lived abroad in Italy, Turkey, and most recently, Malaga, Spain, with her special needs daughter. And so I asked her not only about her personal definition of wellness, but I really asked her about how she embodies that definition of wellness by living abroad.
Every single thing about this global lifestyle that I'm living it comes from a place of wellness. Me being abroad is wellness. And I'll kind of dive deep because for the past, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years, I've been independently studying epigenetics and female biochemics. Matter of fact, I'm going to be enrolling in a master's equivalent program on female biology. And when you look at things from a cellular level, if you really want to change your life and you want to change the course of your life, especially if you're a woman that's focused on certain levels of generational family excellence, healing trauma, it has to happen on a cellular level. And a part of that can come when you change your environment. Your genes, your DNA literally changes when you change your environment, when you change your speech, when you change the types of foods you eat, the types of people you entertain. Your body responds on a cellular and genetic level. With that being said, everything about this journey for me has been a journey of wellness, mind, body, and soul. So I had to live in a place that created the least restrictive environment for me to experience wellness at least 90% of the time, if not 100% of the time. Having access to fresh foods that are affordable, being in an environment where I feel safe, being in an environment where I feel my daughter is safe. Going back to the healthcare, I have that component. I don't feel I need to worry about things, and where I can experience authentic relationships, where I can experience and prioritize love, which is something we don't even talk about. Nobody talks about love being a priority. Love is absolutely a priority, and it's something that we should all seek to experience in our lives. Having the space and the time and the energy to nurture all of my relationships, that is all part of my wellness. Being able to pamper myself and go to the hammams and be able to afford the skincare treatments that I'm able to afford to look my best and feel my best have all been important. And all of those things are really central to my making the decision that I made to live abroad and to live in Turkey, because I can just better leverage my talents, my energy, my time, my resources to live that lifestyle here. And again, I am grateful for the life that I'm living because it allows me to do that. And it allows me to have that high level of wellness in my life. And I wouldn't trade it in for anything in the world.
Season 1, episode 49 featured Claire, who is based in Mexico.
So for me, wellness it's mind, body, and soul. I think a lot of people miss the mind part. And when I say that, I mean, yes, we know like we can say self-care, I'm going to get a massage. Yep, I do that every week. But what I think and what I believe, and arguably a part that's missed, is some sort of therapy. You know, I have participated in therapy for over a year now. It is hands down the best gift and investment into myself I've ever made into my life. And when I say therapy, meaning, and especially when you're abroad and for a lot of people, they're abroad and they're a digital nomad, which means they work for themselves. They have to make money for themselves. They don't work for a company. There are some people that do, but there's a great deal of us who are digital nomads. And so when you are that, it can be scary, it can be lonely. And so what therapy does is therapy allows you to tap in to who you really are and understand why you're triggered by things and understand how to function better with other people that have their own dreams, their own issues, like how to be able to have empathy and understand how they feel when they're reacting and being a better functioning human being. And a part of that shedding process, I feel, does include some type of therapy because as a Black American living in America, there is a significant amount of trauma that we have experienced, a significant. And when we're moving abroad, I feel like there is a releasing process of that trauma. And that process can take, as long as it may take for some people, right? But after you get past that, I feel like then you're in the next phase, which to me is social impact. That once I'm abroad, if I make it past that stage, and some people don't, and that's okay too. But the last stage, and this is the stage I'm at now, and maybe this isn't the last stage, but the stage I'm in now is social impact, where now I am actively working with locals to help them generate financial wealth in their lives. So I help right now. I'm working with one local and I'm helping her. And she already has her Instagram page that I set up, her Facebook page. And so I've set those things up for her and also taught her how to do it for herself. So she has her own Instagram page. She knows how to use the right hashtags. And then we have ongoing trainings to talk about reoccurring model, referral systems, and general marketing and business things that actually will increase her wealth once tourism picks up. And so that's also something that I will be a poster chart. I'll be talking to as many expats as well about this aspect that once you get to this stage, or if you're ready to start giving back in your community, as Black Americans who are traveling and living abroad, I was speaking with someone else and they were saying to me that those of us who actually live abroad, like you've like crossed this different threshold, that you're a very unique person because of the risk that your family feels, that you potentially feels, and all the battles of you leaving the US to come somewhere else, that everyone's looking at you crazy and you may not get a lot of support. But the fact that you're thriving probably means that you have a very strong sense of self and a strong confidence. And based on that, you're in a great position to help those around you in that country who are being oppressed, to help them generate wealth and help them overcome those things in very small ways that you have no idea that you have these different skills that you can help them.
Season 1, episode 35 features Neria, based in Portugal. And in her episode, we really talked about her just incredibly international life. Neria was born in the Canary Islands, but was raised in São Tomé e Príncipe, and then travels all along the African continent with her mother for various different economic opportunities before making the move back to Spain to live as a single mother, being married, and moving to Portugal. And I asked her about her personal definition of wellness, and surprisingly, or perhaps it shouldn't be as surprising, her discussion of wellness really centered on the freedom she gained when she finally acquired her Spanish passport. Now, as I said, Neria had been born in Spain, but at the time, she was not eligible to have a Spanish passport. And so her definition of wellness really touches upon the concept of passport privilege and freedom of mobility.
So for me, wellness was the freedom of traveling. when I had my passport, I remember the first time I got my Spanish passport saying that I was from Spain. And then we were going to Australia. And I remember entering Australia. We were going to Sydney, but before we went on a cruise and we went to Perth. When I got to Australia and I just got my papers, I just show them my papers, just put the stamp on it. Welcome to Australia. I didn't have to wait. I didn't have to explain where I was from. I was like, wow, this is freedom. This is freedom. So wellness is to be able to travel where you want and to feel that you don't have to explain where you are. I mean, sometimes people do joke at me like, you don't look very Spanish, you know? But beside that, yes. So wellness is one thing, this for me, which is traveling. And wellness for me is my family. My family is my wealth, is knowing that I have the love and support and they have my love and support. This is a wellness. To have mental health, to have the peace of mind.
Season 1, episode 12, features Jackie of the Jackie O Life, a self-proclaimed slow mad, an OG digital nomad, and just amazing woman all over. I asked Jackie to share her concept of wellness and how living abroad has helped her to embody that concept of wellness.
I can honestly say I am living my best life. For me, wellness looks like what I have crafted for myself, which is the space to, one, not stress about money, which I don't, because I feel very secure in my financial situation. And money used to be a huge burden for me. But I also feel like I'm in a position where I get to spend as much time with my daughter as I like, which is just given my history and where I am now. And the fact that I am a 41-year-old woman with a toddler is very important to me. I say again and again, every day is not promised. And so the fact that I get to not only spend every day with her, but spend every day with her in meaningful ways where I'm not tired or I'm not stressed, where I'm not worrying about where money's going to come from to pay the next bill, but also being able to have time for myself and being able to make sure that when she's not with me, that she's in very capable hands. I'm a single mother. Having a nanny that I can rely on, that is child-centric, that spends quality time with my daughter, who makes sure she is safe because she's the most important thing in my life, is just so important to me. And just be able to travel the world with my daughter and just see the world through her eyes and see it together and see her pick up new languages and see how quickly and fast it happens. And then just be able to taste and eat new foods, particularly when you think about like the farm to table movement. Like I literally am sitting on my balcony right now watching the sun come up and I'm looking at fishermen in the lake, because I live on a lake, and pulling up that fish. And I know that I can go down there in probably an hour and buy that fish from him. And I know exactly where it came from. The same with my produce. Just knowing exactly what I put in my body and putting in my daughter's body is just so important to me. I am at a very good place, both mentally and physically and spiritually. I am Yoruba girl, so maintaining that connection to like my ancestors and to the strength of the people who came before me. In Yoruba culture, it says that you should be able to recite 7 generations of where you come from every single morning in front of your ancestor table and respect and pay tribute to those who came before you and ask for their blessings and help to guide you. And I have made that a part of my practice too, because I do definitely think it's so important just to understand where you came from, because it helps guide where you're going. And it helps you understand why your body is a temple and you have to like take care of it. And we are put on this earth to be happy. We're not put on this earth to struggle. We're not put on this earth to be miserable. And I feel like at 41 years old, I truly appreciate that taking care of myself is my number one and top priority. I need to do what I need to do to be the best human that I can be, because if I'm not the best human that I can be, I'm not the best mother, I'm not the best businesswoman, I'm not the best anything. And that is so important to me.
Thank you all so much for listening to this bonus episode of Flourish in the Foreign. If you love this podcast, please go to buymeacoffee.com/flourishforeign and buy me a coffee. And if you're tired of talking about it and you're ready to be about it, and you're really interested in how living abroad can be a pathway to wellness, and you're ready to cultivate a life well lived abroad, now is the time, right? I mean, the writing's on the wall, so now is the time, okay? Get your Move Abroad with Intention guide and the Build a Business Abroad guide. Sign up for the Move Abroad with Intention course. And of course, get on the wait list for Soft Life, Soft Business. All right? As always, shout out to Zachary Higgs, who produced the music of this here podcast. And remember, it's not about moving abroad. It's not about being abroad. It's about thriving abroad. It's about flourishing abroad. So go abroad and cultivate a life well lived. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.